Now I'm going to introduce today's speaker. It's a great honor to do so. It's somebody we're all very familiar with, our senior pastor, Reverend Bruce Shelton. He's presently serving as our president of the board of directors. He serves on our pastoral council. He's a retired probation officer who, after retirement from that position, went on serving as a licensed counselor, helping those with substance abuse. He also serves our church as music coordinator and serves as chairman of our buildings and grounds. Putting that aside, what Bruce offers this church is invaluable. He offers us his leadership, his spiritual counseling, the love of this place. It's a great honor to introduce my great friend, Bruce Shelton.
Nice to be introduced by one of my best friends, Larry Jennings. So let me get my watch out here so I don't talk too long today. Okay. Well, as you all know, I always like to begin my talk by asking you for your help to help me kind of get my ego out of the way so that I can let God speak through me. And so if we can all just be quiet for a few moments and let's ask God to just use me as his minister this morning to say the words that will be of the most help to you. Thank you, God. Okay. Well, today we're going to take a look at what I view as a very great religion, the religion of Hinduism. And as Sharon was saying earlier, we're an interfaith church. In our statement of purpose, we have this statement, we are an interfaith spiritual community that honors each individual's path and seeks to understand the core teachings of all world religions and spiritual masters who teach that love, light, and joy are the character and nature of God. So that's a wonderful, I think that's a wonderful principle upon which to base our church. We seek to understand all these religions. A couple of months ago, I spoke on Taoism. And so today I felt drawn to Hinduism. And specifically, I want to take a look at what the Hindus call the four yogas, the fourfold path to God, to enlightenment, to the awakening experience, which is why we're here, right? And one of the postulates of this talk is that these four paths correlate with the four parts of who we are. If I ask you, who are you? You know, well, one answer could be I can use a four-part model. I have a physical body. I have a mind which has two dimensions, thoughts and feelings, the head and the heart. Then I have this fourth part of me that really goes beyond words, okay? It's my spiritual essence, okay? We can at best use words to point us in the right direction, but it's God's presence within us, okay? And this is, our entire life is about finding ourselves, you see, finding our real identity, which is we're all told this in the very first chapter of the book of Genesis. We're created in the image and likeness of God. And Jesus, made it so clear that we're all the children of God. But we forget who we are. We have forgotten who we are because we get lost in our head and all these thoughts in our head. And so in Hinduism, they teach the belief of karma and reincarnation, and they teach that we have many lifetimes to get it right. And so the idea is we have these many lifetimes, and the idea is we want to walk each one of these four paths. They're like paths going up a mountain. They all converge at the top. That is the awakening experience, which is the presence of God, okay? So that's the theory of how all this works. Now, my background in giving this talk, I want to state that this is my personal interpretation of these four yogas, and it comes from a lifetime of study with spiritual masters. The person who really introduced me to these four paths was a guy named Houston Smith, who's a world-renowned scholar on all the religions of the world. Worked up at Harvard and so forth, many universities, and he wrote a book back in the 50s called "The Religions of the World." And in 1967, when I was 67, when I was a student at ODU, I took a course in comparative religions, and his textbook was the textbook for the course. And he really taught me about world religions. It really piqued my interest in all the religions. But he taught me about these fourfold paths. And then I was followed up as I went through life by Ram Dass came into my life, and Paramahansa Yogananda, Neem Karola Baba, who's the wonderful guru introduced to us by Ram Dass. And more recent teachers are Michael Singer and Eckhart Tolle. So I put all these teachings I've had in my life, put it all together, and this is kind of the synthesis of those teachings about my understanding of this fourfold path. All right, let's take a look at these four paths. They're called Jnana Yoga is the path of the head, okay, the path of thoughts. Bhakti Yoga is the path of the heart, right? Karma Yoga is the path of behavior, which is expressed through our physical body. Even our words are expression come from our physical body. They come from the larynx, don't they? And from the brain, the thoughts that come in the brain. So, and then then we have Raja Yoga, which is what I view as the spiritual path to God. And the idea is we want to bring all four of these together to integrate them. Raja Yoga is called the royal path of integration. Integration of what? Integration of all the three other parts that we are. You know, Eckhart Tolle Edgar Cayce, another great teacher that kind of was a bridge between the East and the West, and his teachings and his readings. He said that this fourfold path was very worth studying about and learning about. So Jnana Yoga now is called in Hinduism the path of knowledge and wisdom. The goal in Jnana Yoga is to get our thinking right. Now this we could say is like the biggest challenge we've all got. We've all got this head, right? These thoughts that they call the voice in the head. We've talked about this many times here. And we all know about this voice in the head. It just never stops talking, right? And it's constantly narrating and commenting on things in life, judging this is good, this is bad, I like that person, I don't like that person, you know, and it goes on and on. So Jnana Yoga is all about taming this, you know, learning to manage, becoming the master of our thoughts rather than the slave. That's the whole problem. See, our mind, I always say that our mind is the greatest gift the universe has given to us, our mind and our body. They're gifts. We take it for granted. But we do incredible things with our mind when we use our mind properly to solve problems, to be creative. We create beautiful art, cures through diseases, send astronauts to the moon, all through the proper use of our mind. But the problem is when the mind takes over, it's so brilliant it has the ability to take over, which is the dilemma that we all find ourselves in, you know. And so the mind makes for a wonderful servant, but for a very cruel master. And so one of our greatest tasks in life, you see, is learning to control the thoughts in our head, becoming the master, right? That's what Jnana Yoga is all about. Now, a great Hindu saint named Sri Ramakrishna said, if you meditate upon the ideal, right, which is a thought, you will acquire its nature. If you think of God day and night, you will acquire the nature of God. So that's really what meditation's all about, you see, is thinking about our highest ideal, the character and nature of God. And if we do that, you see, day and night, he says, we will acquire the nature of God. And that's what Jnana Yoga is all about, is getting our thinking right upon powerful affirmations and thoughts. For example, one way to do this, see, the problem is we start thinking about God, and yeah, God is love, and I'm the child of God, and we have these positive thoughts, but when I do this, my mind starts drifting quickly, right? That's other thoughts. Other thoughts just come into my mind, and next thing I know, I'm off thinking about something else. So one way to center ourselves is to read spiritual books. These true spiritual books, you see, are actually God's way of talking to us, right? Because the person who wrote the book is inspired. God is talking through that person, and they're putting the words down, and we read the words. Now, those words actually have the energy of God. Ram Dass says they're transmissions of spiritual energy, true spiritual books. So that's one of the best ways to focus ourselves. Find a good spiritual book that you like. I've got a whole library, and also now on YouTube, we have YouTube now, with all these wonderful teachers where we can listen to people. I love to listen to Eckhart Tolle and Michael Singer and other great teachers on just listening to them. So we not only have books, we've got that, but one of the most powerful of all spiritual books, and also in the West, one of the least understood, especially today, is the Bible. The Bible is filled with very high spiritual affirmations, okay? An example is in the book of Psalm, the 23rd Psalm. The 23rd Psalm, I gave a whole talk on the 23rd Psalm last May, and it's just a very powerful treatment for fear. It's a powerful way to heal ourselves when we're kind of lost with our fearful thoughts. So if I just read the very first verse, anybody know what that is? The very first verse of the 23rd Psalm. Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. Right? Very good. Now, if we just focus, okay. So I'm there, and maybe I'm worried about something. So I'm going to take my attention off. This is what it's all about: taking my attention off the worry, off the negative thoughts, placing it upon a positive thought. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. Now, there's a whole philosophy of life in just those two teachings. There's two teachings there: the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. I'm telling you, we all need a good shepherd in our lives. We all need some help. We go along the path of life, and we come to forks in the road. We have to make a decision. Should I keep this job? Should I leave this job? Should I move to this other city? Should I go to Sedona and live? I heard good things. Or should I stay in Virginia Beach? Should I stay with this person I'm with right now, this intimate relationship? Should I leave this relationship? So we constantly coming to decision points in our lives, which are like forks in the road. We need help, you see. So this teaching here is saying that we're not alone. See, without God, we are alone, and we get lost, and we kind of weird out sometime. But this teaching, you see, is saying, well, the Lord is our shepherd, right? God's there. If we just call upon God for guidance and direction, that makes all the difference in the world. I find people who are trying to get a job, and I say, just affirm that God is working through you to lead you to the perfect job. A person is kind of lost spiritually. I'll say, just affirm God is working through you to lead you to the right book, the right spiritual teacher who will just talk to you and really help you. And the Lord is my shepherd. And now, Emmett Fox, get my teachers right. Emmett Fox is another one of my great spiritual teachers, says that Jesus, referred to himself by many titles. I am the light of the world. I am the bread of life. Emmett Fox said if Jesus were here today and he were to choose his favorite title, it would be, I am the good shepherd, you see. And Jesus is the good shepherd. So sometimes it's hard to pray to God because God is this abstract force out there. Where are you, God? Trying to find you, right? And, of course, Jesus says he's not there and he's not there. He's within us. The kingdom of heaven is within. But even that's very kind of abstract, So Jesus is the personification of God. And Jesus is truly the light of the world. And so The only difference between Jesus and you and I is that Jesus has made it to the top of the mountain. He's saying, hey, guys, I'm up here. You know, you're making a wrong turn down there. Get on that turn here. You got lost. I'll come get you and take you back into the fold, you know. So Jesus is the light at the top, that if we turn to Jesus and ask him for help, and he says, cast my burdens upon my shoulders and I will give you rest. So he's telling us he's there for us. He's in this room right now with us. And so the Lord is my shepherd. Jesus is the good shepherd. And there are many other wonderful spiritual masters who equally are good shepherds. Second part of this simple little affirmation. This is Jnana Yoga. I shall not want, right? Now, our egos never get enough, you see. The themes, it was Eckhart Tolle said, the theme song of the ego is, I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. Please excuse me, Mike Yeager. That is the theme song of the ego, and it's really put so well, isn't it? We know no matter how much we have, it's never enough. I get a job, and maybe I get a promotion, right? I thought, and I'm really happy. God, I got this promotion. I've won out, beat out all these other people trying to get this, and so for a while I'm happy. It wears off. You see, after a while, it just wears off. It doesn't bring me lasting satisfaction, and so. I think of what Ram Dass said one time. He had these two uncles, and they both were very wealthy. They both had their own private jets. And one uncle came to him one time, and he was actually depressed. He was actually down. He said, Uncle George just bought a new jet, and it's $20 million, and my jet's only $10 million. He was depressed about that, see? No matter how much we have, it's never enough. That's an exaggerated example, but we can relate to that. Carl Jung, we all know Carl Jung. He was the great Swiss psychiatrist, and he came to this country being a good European. He'd seen all these cowboy movies growing up back in the 30s, John Ford, and he wanted to see the West. So he came to this country. He went touring the West, and he went to this Indian reservation. And he talked to this Indian chief, and this Indian chief had a very profound statement. He says, in his perception, in the chief's perception, most white people have tense faces, staring eyes, and a cruel demeanor. He said, they are always seeking something. What are they seeking? The whites always want something. They are always uneasy and restless. We don't know what they want. We think they are mad. He might have been onto something there. So the point is, if you find a specific teaching, any type of affirmation, and just focus upon it when your mind is restless, you might find that it really kind of recenters you and brings you some peace. That is Jnana Yoga. That's working on the thoughts. Now, the next yoga is Bhakti Yoga. That's my favorite. Bhakti Yoga is the path of love and devotion. Who was the great in the West? Who was the great teacher of love and devotion? Well, of course, it was the Lord Jesus, right? Well, the Hindus teach the same thing. It's all about loving God. Jesus said, when he was asked what are the most important commandments, he says, the most important commandment is that we love the Lord our God with all of our body, mind, and soul, and that we love our neighbor. Second is like unto it, that we love our neighbor even as ourselves. And then he really puts a big explanation point behind that. He says, and therein lies all the law and the prophets. The point being, if we get that one teaching about love, loving God, loving others, we got the whole Jesus Christ teaching right there. And I was reading Emmett Fox the other day, and he said that 99% of the problems in our life can be solved through sufficient love. If there's only love within us, you see, we're not reactive to anything negative out there. Nothing out there bothers us because there's nothing in us but love to react, you see. our dilemma is we got a lot more in us than just love. We got all these negative thoughts that get triggered all the time. What if we can just, if love takes over and we're completely filled with the spirit of love? In Bhakti Yoga, we have an I-thou relationship with God. God is here, I'm here. I love God. Now, what I feel this is what Bhakti Yoga is all about is that we love God. We say, God, I love you, let me to know you. You know, God's here, I'm here. Let me to know you. And every time I do this, I get a little closer, you see, to God. And the whole purpose of Bhakti Yoga, of loving God, is to bring us into oneness with God. So then the I-thou relationship ends. Then Jesus says, I and the Father are one. Jesus meaning the Christ. The Christ says that. You see, the Christ in you, when we love God enough, you see, that brings us back home. And we finally realize who we are. So Bhakti Yoga is my favorite yoga, and it's all about serving others. Neem Karola Baba, who I mentioned earlier, he was the wonderful guru that was introduced to us by Ram Dass. When he was asked how to meditate, he said, meditate the way Christ meditated. He lost himself in love. You know, see, we think of the Hindus of only talking about Hinduism. The true Hindu saints, they love Jesus because they recognize him as a being that he is. He's interfaith. He says, meditate the way Christ meditated. He lost himself in love. One of the teachings in Hinduism is that it's helpful for people to come together in satsang, they call it, in group worship. You know, we're worshiping God together. Now, every Sunday at 620 14th Street, what do you think we're doing, right? We're having a satsang. We're all coming together because there's an energy created by us all coming together that's just different than when we're by ourselves. And we need this energy. It's really healing and wonderful. That's why this church is still here after 50 years, you know, because the only thing really about this church we have to offer is love. That's really the essence of it. But boy, do we need it. And another part of our statement of purpose says the purpose of the Virginia Beach Fellowship Center is to create a mutually supportive community and sacred space in which each person may experience an intimate, uplifting relationship within Mother, Father, God. Okay? So we're fulfilling our purpose every Sunday when we have these services. The third yoga is karma yoga. Karma yoga is the yoga of action and behavior, okay? That includes not only actions and behavior, but it includes words. So karma yoga, we make manifest the pure thoughts of the mind and the love of the heart that are connected, aligned with God. In karma yoga, it's all about selfless action, okay? There's two types of actions. One is really self-serving action. I'll put it like that. Okay, I'm gonna help you, but I expect you to at least appreciate me. I expect something in return. If I'm working for somebody, I expect to be paid. So I'm gonna love my partner, providing she loves me. But gosh, if she doesn't love me, that's it. You know, now she's turned me off. You see, or I could use it, turn it around. It could be my male partner. That's self-serving love. Okay, that's conditional love. What karma yoga is all about is unconditional love. It's all about serving people just for the love of serving people. It's truly Bhakti yoga made manifest. Okay. Bhakti yoga is within, right, within our heart, I should say, and but karma yoga is making manifest love. It's actually serving others. I had the great honor for 52 years working as a counselor. I mean, I got paid to serve others, right? And it was just an incredible gift given to me by God to have that role to play. I was so thankful for that. Now, an example of, it doesn't have to be someone, karma yoga doesn't have to be someone like a chiropractor or a doctor or a massage therapist who's serving people. It can be a carpenter. It can be Dan Bernath fixing my toilet, which he did many times as a plumber. And he came over, he was, "Oh, want to help you, Bruce, da-da-da." It wasn't about the money, you see. It was about trying to provide a good service. One of my favorite examples of karma yoga is this cashier that I used to see, this African-American cashier at Wendy's. I used to have an agency I worked with, and I didn't have to be to work till 2 o'clock, and so because I worked in the evening, and I'd go by this Wendy's every day and pick up an Asian salad. That was my lunch. And every time I went there, there was this cashier, and she was the most brightest, happiest person I think I've ever known. She'd say, "Hello, honey. So good to see you today. Here's your Asian salad. That'll be $5.99." And she'd bring it up and she'd say, "Now you have a wonderful day. You hear? You take care. Bye-bye." Now, that was a blessing. I felt good that she cheered me up. And she did that probably to 100 people going through that line every day. You see, bringing light in that. Now, as far as I know, she was the Buddha reincarnated, you see, coming back as a cashier at Wendy's, you see, because her whole life, it seems, is just kind of bringing some cheer to people. That's karma yoga, you see. Anytime we're nice to people, we say thank you to the cashier at the grocery store. That's karma yoga, and they say they're really nice back too, I find. The last yoga is Raja Yoga. And as I said earlier, in Raja Yoga, it's known as the Royal Road to Reintegration. Raja Yoga is the one yoga that focuses solely on going within. In Raja Yoga, they teach in eight parts, techniques, 8 parts to one technique, I should say. It's called. Is it the Eightfold Path? What do you say? Is it the Eightfold Path? Well, no, that's Buddhism. Good try. Good try. But it's 8 steps is what I'm trying to say for a meditation method. You follow these 8 steps, and it takes you within to enlightenment. Now, a Hindu will practice this every day of their life, their adult life, and it takes years and years to really reach the top. It starts off by quietening our bodies, the importance of just quietening our bodies, and then it's quietening our breath. Your breath becomes so quiet, so calm, that the idea is you put a feather in front of it and there's no response. And you keep working on yourself. The greatest challenge is quiet, as I said in Jnana Yoga, is quieting the thoughts of the mind and calming the emotions of the heart. In the Bhagavad Gita, the sacred text of Hinduism, it says, "Restless the mind is, so strongly shaken by the grip of the senses. Truly, I think that the wind is no wilder." Does that sound like your mind? Sounds like my mind, right? Truly, the wind is no wilder. Hinduism likens the restlessness of the mind to a crazed monkey cavorting about in its cage. But that's not enough. Or rather, to a drunken, crazed monkey. But even this is not enough. The mind is like a drunken, crazed monkey who's just been stung by a wasp. Now, our goal is to quieten the mind so much that, you see, we actually become so still, be still and know that I am God, that we awaken to who we truly are, you see. And so, in closing, what I really hope is to take away from this talk today is to stress the importance, or emphasize the importance, of each one of us putting aside a little bit of time every day for spiritual practices, okay? This talk I love this talk. I gave this talk a few years ago, and I thought it was a time for a revisit. But we think, we listen to it, we go home, and next thing you know, we're thinking about something else. I'm hopeful this talk will go with you and really reach your heart and really help. But what's so important is every day you say we need spiritual food like this, not just on Sunday mornings. And so daily spiritual practices is when we feed our soul. It's when we nourish our soul. You know, we would never think about going for 4 or 5 days without eating, would we? You see, we never would do that. We always are going to eat food to feed our body. What about our soul? What about the most important part of who we are, which is our spiritual center, the Christ presence? We need nourishment. We need help. So spiritual practices of prayer, meditation, chanting like we did this morning. I personally like that. Repeating affirmations, the Egregation meditation methods are all about having an affirmation used very often from the Bible and just focusing upon the meditation, letting it work on us, like taking a medicine, letting it work on us to calm us down. But if we can all just put aside a little time every day for prayer and meditation just to be with God, that's the most important thing we can do. If you can create a little space in your home, like I have, just a meditation space that's used for nothing else, that helps a lot. Have some candles, some nice music playing. It really helps a lot. God bless you, and thank you so much.